Hey y'all, what's good, what's poppin'? I'm so excited for today's video because today we're gonna be doing a review on a bronzer. Y'all know how much I love bronzers. So this is actually a new release. This one actually slid under the radar for me initially. I had no idea that this was being released, and it is this e.l.f. Putty bronzer. Once I saw this, I was immediately intrigued. I'm always down to try a new bronzer. So this is an extension of e.l.f.'s Putty collection. They started off with their Putty primers. They've got Putty blushes now. We've got Putty eye primers, and now we've got these Putty bronzers, which are the newest release in the collection. I went ahead and picked up 3 shades here that I thought would be a good match for my skin tone, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a full review on them for y'all. We're gonna really get into it today. We're gonna be doing swatches. I'm gonna go ahead and demo each of the shades on my face. I'm gonna be doing a review, first impressions, and a wear test. We're gonna really break it down and see what the deal is with this product. So if y'all are interested in seeing that video, be sure to stick around till the end of the video. Before we get into it, if y'all find this video helpful at all, if y'all could leave a like below, I'd really appreciate it, and it helps my video to do better as well. I also wanna just say thank you to all my new and returning subscribers out there. Thank y'all so much for sticking around, always supporting my content and helping me to grow my channel. If you are new here and you haven't already, please just be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell button as well so that you can stay up to date on all my content. And with that being said, let's get into it. Before I get into this review, I just want to say, if you're here for a certain thing, if you just want to see swatches, you just want to see the application, you just want to see the final results of the wear test, all that, I'm gonna go ahead and leave timestamps for everything down in the description below. I don't want you to waste your time on this video skipping around, but with that out the way, let's go ahead and get into it. Before I go ahead and get into the swatches and the demo and all that, I do just want to go ahead and give a little bit of a product overview. I just want to go over the product description, see what claims they're making, and just kind of set a baseline for what expectations I'm going into this review and wear test with. So we're just going to go ahead and start by reading the product description straight off the website. So it says, bask in that sun kiss, back from vacation, glow all year round. This unique cream putty to powder bronzer effortlessly blends and blurs into the skin, delivering a natural bronzing effect with a smooth, semi-matte finish. The formula is lightweight, non-greasy, and highly pigmented, letting you build an all-over warm complexion or just a kiss of golden hour contour. Plus, it's infused with argan oil and vitamin E for moisturizing, nourishing, and skin-loving benefits while you glow. So they're claiming that this product is good for all skin types, and like all other e.l.f. products, this one is cruelty-free and vegan. So let's talk about the shades on this bronzer real quick. I just want to give e.l.f. a huge pat on the back for this drop and the amount of shades they released this in. This is a good shade range for bronzers, not just for a drugstore makeup brand, but for a makeup brand in general. We've got bronzers for really fair skin types in here, and then we got bronzers pretty deep on the spectrum as well. But as far as the shades that I picked up, I didn't even deviate from the lightest 4 shades, and 2 of the 3 shades that I picked up actually worked pretty well for my skin type. So I think that it's a pretty inclusive formula if my bronzer shade falls in the lighter end of the spectrum. And like I said, this comes in 8 different shades. If you want to go ahead and compare this to Fenty Beauty, because I know Fenty Beauty was kind of like that breakthrough brand that got makeup brands to be conscious of expanding their shade ranges and being inclusive. The Fenty Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer only comes in 7 different shades, whereas the e.l.f. Cream Bronzer comes in 8 different shades. So these retail for $6 US each, and they contain 0.35 ounce of product in each compact. Now it doesn't look like it, but for comparison, there's actually more product here in this e.l.f. Putty Bronzer than there is in this Fenty Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer. There's only 0.22 ounces of product in here, whereas there's 0.35 ounces of product in here. So you got an extra 0.13 ounces of product in here. Kind of bothers me how small this is, just because the size of the compact here really makes it difficult to dip some of my bigger bronzer brushes in and scoop out product. I really like to be a little bit haphazard with my bronzer application. Personally, when I'm bronzing, I'm not really bothering with sculpting or anything like that. I'm not trying to be precise with anything. I just kind of want to slap the bronzer on in the areas where the sun would naturally hit my face to give me a natural sun-kissed look. And for me, I just find that using a bigger brush like this Fenty bronzer brush works better for giving me that effect. So I like a bronzer with a bigger pan like this Fenty one here, so I'm really able to like dip it in and scoop the product out. I can't really do that here with this Putty bronzer, unfortunately. It's just a little too small for that. That being said, that is one of the few issues I have with this product. I don't really have too much negative to say about it, but I'm gonna really get into it in the review, so I'm gonna save my thoughts and opinions for when we get into the review. Before we do that though, I do just want to go ahead and do some swatches real quick. So firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the swatches that I did on my arm. I swatched these really heavy on my arm just so you have an idea of the color payoff and what this would look like on my skin tone. I know some people like to use my videos as a reference for a shade match, so I did go ahead and swatch these really heavy on my arm just so you have an idea of what the color payoff is and what it's gonna look like on the skin. So moving down my arm from left to right, going from the lightest shade to the deepest shade, I have the shades Tan Line here all the way on the left. In the middle here, I have the shade Honey Drip. And then all the way on the right here, the darkest shade that I picked up is Golden Daze. And then in addition to swatching these really heavy on my arm to give you an idea of the payoff and the color, I also went ahead and applied all three of these to my face. So all the other variables are the same in this. I'm using the same complexion products in all of these except for the bronzer. So I'm already wearing one shade here. So this is the middle shade that I picked up. This is the shade Honey Drip. So now I'm gonna go ahead and insert the demo for the shade Tan Lines, and that's the shade lighter than this one. And then I'm also gonna go ahead and insert the demo for the shade Golden Daze, and that's the shade deeper than this one. So that's all I really have to touch on as far as the product description and then showing you all the swatches and all that. So I'm ready to just go ahead and get into the actual review. I want to go ahead and get into a live demo of me applying the shade for y'all so y'all can see my thoughts and opinions in real time and just see the blendability and buildability of this. I'm also going to go ahead and do a wear test as well just to see how this wears throughout the day. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the application now, and then once we're done that, we're going to go ahead and do the wear test. All right, y'all, I'm so excited to get into this demo and application for y'all. I really can't wait to get into it. Y'all don't understand. But before we get into it though, I do just want to go ahead and go over my off-camera routine real quick. Y'all know I always go over my off-camera skincare routine when I'm doing makeup reviews. And because today I'm doing a makeup review focusing on a bronzer and not a complexion product like a foundation, I've already gone ahead and done my complexion as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go over my off-camera skincare routine and makeup real quick. So of course I went ahead and hopped in the shower, washed my face off, and then right out the shower I went ahead and toned my face with this Naturium Niacinamide Essence 3%. So this has 3% niacinamide in here, which is a really good ingredient to help snatch up those pores. It really helps with controlling sebum production and also helping to decrease the size of enlarged pores. It also helps with improving the appearance of hyperpigmentation and a bunch of other stuff. And then while my skin was still damp with the toner, I went ahead and followed up with this iUnique Centella Calming Gel Cream. So it's just a nice lightweight gel texture moisturizer. I've really been enjoying this now that it's summer, it's getting warmer out and it's humid. I've been enjoying this as a nice lightweight moisturizer. It also leaves a really good base for your makeup. It absorbs in really well. It doesn't leave a greasy finish or anything like that. And it has some really good ingredients in here as well. We've got Centella Asiatica extract, we've got tea tree leaf water, and a couple other ingredients in here that really help to calm and soothe the skin. And then for my sunscreen, I just went ahead and went in with this Biore UV Effortlessly Skin Protect Essence SPF 50 PA4+. So it's just a really good solid sunscreen. We've got some really good UV filters in here that have strong UVA and UVB protection. This is waterproof, sweat proof, and it doesn't leave a white cast at all. It doesn't have a greasy finish. It does take just a little bit to dry down, but once it does, it has a nice natural skin-like finish like I said. And then I did do just a little bit of a light base just to kind of correct everything and give me a nice even base to go ahead and apply the bronzer to. So once the moisturizer and the sunscreen and all that completely soaked into my skin, I went ahead and applied this Supergoop Mineral Matte Screen SPF 40. So this just adds a little bit of extra UV protection on top of the sunscreen I already applied. This also has a nice pore blurring technology that helps to smooth over the appearance of pores, and it makes a nice base to apply makeup products on top. So I went ahead and applied just a little bit of this, focusing it mainly in my T-zone and then working it out towards the perimeter of my face. After I applied that, I went ahead and applied this Fenty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer in the shade 290. I just applied it wherever I had some discoloration and hyperpigmentation going on that I wanted to cover up. I let it set for a second just so it had a little bit more coverage, and then I buffed it into the skin. Once I was all buffed into the skin, I just applied a really light layer of this Fenty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. I'm using mine here in the shade 10. I just applied a couple dots on each cheek and then up on the forehead, and then I just applied a little bit down the neck. Blended it in with a beauty sponge just to kind of even out my skin tone a little bit more and to make the concealer look a little bit more seamless with my skin tone. And then to just touch up my brows real quick, I went ahead and ran this NYX Bear With Me brow setter through them just to kind of set them in place and make them look a little bit more neat. So this is the completed base, skincare and makeup. Everything's all set, and I'm ready to go ahead and get into this application of the bronzer now. I'm so excited for this. So I have the shade here that I'm gonna go ahead and apply for y'all. This right here is the shade Honey Drip. I'm gonna take it on this Real Techniques sculpting brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the pan, and then once I've got a decent amount of color here on the brush head, I'm just gonna go ahead and start patting it into the skin. I find that this is the best way to apply the bronzer, so to just kind of pat it into the skin and buff out the edges. It's actually super blendable. It's really creamy. I went ahead and swatched this on my arm with my fingers, and I was actually surprised at how creamy this felt swatching it with my fingers. And applying it here now with a brush, I still feel that same creaminess, and as you can see, I'm blending it out and it's just really working into the skin effortlessly. These bronzers, they're not super warm toned. As you can see, it's not coming across orange or anything like that. They have a nice natural undertone that's not too orange, but they've also got that coolness to them as well that's going to really allow you to sculpt out your features if you choose to use it that way. day. And I like that some of the bronzers, looking at the swatches on the website, it looked like some of the shades leaned a little bit more neutral warm and some leaned a little bit more cool. So some of these are going to be really good for contour shades, and then some of these are going to be really good as bronzing shades. Honestly, it's just making me look really sculpted here in the perimeter of the face, but it's also giving me a bronze effect as well. I think e.l.f. really nailed it with this one. I don't know if the camera's going to give it justice, but it really holds up to that cream to powder finish that e.l.f. was talking about. I don't know how e.l.f. managed to get this formula down. It is super creamy in the pan, but once you apply it to the skin and let it set for a second, it sets really well. It doesn't feel tacky or anything like that to the touch, and I'm really interested to see what the wear time on this is going to be, because they didn't really specify it on the website anywhere in the product description anything about a specific amount of time that this is supposed to wear for, but I'm assuming because it's got that cream to powder thing going on, that's going to really help set it in place and hopefully help it last a little longer. I honestly love this bronzer so much. I want to know where e.l.f. was last summer when Fenty dropped her bronzer. No shade to Rihanna, I mean, I love that formula. You know, Fenty always does it first with the innovative drops and the inclusive shades and all that, but this right here is honestly doing just as good for like a fifth the price. I'm really surprised. So here is the skin all bronzed up. Let me come in a little closer so y'all can really see. Look at that. See, the bronzer really just blends into the makeup. There's no separation between where I've applied the bronzer and where my foundation and all that begins. It really blends in seamlessly. Now feeling it after I've let it set for a minute, it doesn't feel tacky at all, and looking here on my finger, it doesn't really look like it's transferred at all either. It's set down really nice. It feels nice and secure and in place. I feel like it's not going to budge, but it's not super drying on the skin either. My face doesn't feel tight or anything. I'm really in love with this bronzer. I was so excited to see e.l.f. drop this, and it definitely doesn't disappoint, but y'all know how I do it around here. This is just the first check-in. I am going to do a little bit of a wear test and see how this wears throughout the day. I do want to see whether or not I'm still going to feel the same way after a full day's wear. Like I said, it does have that cream to powder thing going on. It does feel nice and set on the face, so I am pretty confident about how it's going to wear throughout the day, but e.l.f. didn't make any claims specifically as far as a wear time either, so I can't say either way whether or not this is going to wear well throughout the day. So we're just going to have to go ahead and do our wear test and see what's up. So I do just want to do a quick time check. It's almost 3 o'clock now. I do have to step out the house and do some things, so I'll check in with y'all after I've gone ahead and worn this for a little bit longer and see whether or not I still recommend the product after a full day's wear. Alright y'all, so I'm back to do my final check-in on the bronzer real quick and give my final update on it, see how everything's looking, and give my final thoughts on everything. Before I get into it though, I do just want to do a quick time check. So currently it's about 10 p.m. When I did my first check-in, we were coming up on 3 p.m. Now it's a little bit after 10 p.m. So it's been a little bit over 7 hours, and this is what we're looking like. So I'm gonna come in closer here so y'all can see everything up close. I'm actually really impressed with this formula. I do see my oil starting to peek through a little bit, but it's really not that bad, honestly. I really feel like that cream to powder finish that this was advertising was really putting in some work and has really done a good job of managing to tone down the shine and keep my oils at bay, especially for a cream-based product, because at this point in the day, usually a cream-based product would be breaking down on me, not necessarily looking too good. This is still holding up really well. It actually looks really smooth. It looks just as smooth as when I first applied it. Looking here on the forehead, it's doing really good. It hasn't settled here in my forehead crease, hasn't settled here in my smile lines, here in the nose, hasn't settled in the folds anywhere. It's doing good on the cheeks. It hasn't sunken into my pores and emphasized those at all. So I'm really impressed with how this has held up and worn for 7 hours. It hasn't faded anywhere. I still have all the same pigmentation and color that I had when I first applied it. Really the only area that's looking a little funny is right here on the nose. I did step out the house for a little bit and I was wearing some sunglasses. It did wipe off on the nose there a little bit, but like I said, everywhere else in the face it's looking really good and I haven't touched it up at all. My final thoughts on this is all in all a really good bronzer. For $6 you get a decent amount of product. You actually get more product here in these bronzers than you do in the Fenty Cheeks Out cream bronzers. It has a really good shade range. It comes in 8 shades compared to the Fenty bronzer, which only has 7, so you know it's got a good shade range if it's got more than Fenty. And I love that these bronzers have a nice mix of warm and cool tones. They don't pull too warm, they don't look orange, they look nice and natural on the skin. They're really creamy and blendable. They have a nice cream to powder finish going on, so they last all day. They feel nice and comfortable on the skin, and for $6 you honestly can't beat it. So that's my review and final thoughts on the product. Definitely recommend checking this product out if you have your eyes on it. If y'all enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, please be sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what you liked about this video or what you disliked. Let me know if you have any requests for any specific video topics in the future so I can keep those in mind when I'm sitting down and thinking of things to film. Like I said, if you haven't already, please be sure to just go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell button as well so you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, I should be back shortly with new content. Bye.